You were born with individual strengths and a unique purpose. Don't let fears, false beliefs, or life's happenings diminish your influence. It's time to live and lead for impact. Host Kirsten Ross, expert of transformation, will help you defeat the drama and overcome the trauma that can stop you in your tracks. You'll gain focus, find confidence, and take bold action. Unleash passionate, purposeful you. Let's go.
Welcome to Live and Lead for Impact. I'm Kirsten Ross, your host, and this is episode number 138. So if you'll recall, I'm in the middle of a series called F It for Impact. So far, we've talked about fueling your fortitude, so don't waste time thinking about quitting. Just commit and keep going. And I shared some strategies to help you avoid some of the main trip-ups. In episode 2, I talked about forming your foundations. So create those foundations for your business that help you give yourself clear expectations and hold yourself accountable as you work to create your impact for yourself. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about fulfilling your commitments. This one is so important. And as you'll recall, I said that a theme running through all 5 of these episodes in the series is saying yes and no appropriately. And fulfilling your commitments is a key to doing just that. Because if we give ourselves too much wiggle room, it's way easier to say yes and overcommit and just figure, I just won't follow through. Or I'll make an excuse. Or I don't really need to see that person anymore or talk to them ever. I'll just avoid them for months. So no one wants to live like that. And that's what happens, the overwhelm when we're saying yes to too many things. And if we give ourselves that wiggle room, it seems simpler to overcommit than to just say no in that moment. You figure, I'll just figure it out later. But I am going to encourage you today to take away that wiggle room and make yourself be very intentional about what you say yes or no to. So Stephen R. Covey, in his book, The Speed of Trust, shares this great story. It's a wonderful book, and I do recommend going out and getting it. It's all about how quickly life and relationships and activities can work when we have trust in our relationships. So one of the keys to having trust is being trustworthy. And that's about keeping our word, having good integrity, and keeping our word to ourselves. So in the book, he shares this story about making just a comment kind of off the cuff without much thought. And he said he was with friends out of state, and he says, I could quit drinking soda. No, I live in Michigan where we call it pop, but I could quit drinking soda for a year. That would be no problem. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do that. So he made this commitment. Well, the next day he thought, why did I even do that? I haven't been thinking about giving up my soda. I don't really want to give up my soda. And he had this moment of thinking, you know what? Who would even know? I'm not going to see these people. I'm out of state. I could drink soda if I wanted to. They would never know. We're probably never even going to talk about this again. But then it hit him. But I'll know. I said the words, and I do not want to leave myself that wiggle room. If I make a commitment, I need to keep it because I need to be able to trust myself. And as soon as you do that, I will tell you that you become more and more intentional about your words and what you commit to, because you know that you're going to have to go to great lengths to follow through on the commitments that you make. So less wiggle room equals being very intentional about what you say yes and no to, and you'll begin to be very intentional instead of, again, just saying, oh, yes, and then I'll just figure it out later or avoid that person for the rest of my life. The truth is we all have the same 24 hours, and some of us take our commitments very seriously and some of us don't. I will encourage you to prioritize all of your commitments way up there. So there's a threshold for different aspects of our lives, a threshold we need to hit where we will allow ourselves to not follow through on a commitment. So we each have a threshold, a point at which we will let a commitment slip. And there are different aspects of our lives, and we may have different thresholds. So let's look at a couple. One would be the commitments that we make to ourselves. That could be to going to the grocery store to get healthy food and then cooking it, hopping on your treadmill or getting to the gym, going for a walk, getting to the doctor to get your checkup done. Or maybe you have an ailment and you haven't gotten it figured out yet. So those are the kinds of commitments that we can make to ourselves. Maybe it's just, I'm going to sleep in, I'm going to rest. So commitments to ourselves. Then there's commitments that we make to our family, to spend time, to take care of a task that we need to do. Within your home, if it's family that you live with, it might be, I make a commitment to cook dinner. I make a commitment to vacuum. I make a commitment to go pick you up. I make a commitment to spend time with you. So there's the commitments that we make to our family. Then there's the commitments that we make to friends. So kind of similar. I will call you. Let's do lunch. How many times do you say that and you don't really mean it? Or you don't follow through with an actual time? Another kind of commitment is our work. So perhaps your impact is your work. They're combined. If not, your impact might be another thing, another area of your life where you're making commitments. So I want you to think about each of those areas of your life and how high is the threshold that you have to hit to let a commitment slip. Now, I can tell you that I am not as good at keeping the commitments that I make to myself. I have been way better at keeping commitments to friends, to my family, and to my work. And I am one of the lucky ones that my work and my impact are combined. But I love my work, and it can overtake other parts of my life, and particularly for myself. So I have to admit, I do. I'll skip a workout to get some work done. The commitments I make to my kids, I hold very high. So I really work to keep my word with my kids. I want them to be able to trust me and know that I'm a safe place. And so I have a very high threshold. It's really hard for something else to come into play that would bump away one of my commitments that I've made to my kids. And the same is to work. If I have a meeting, I'm going to keep that meeting. And it's a pretty high bar. Now, let me give an illustration. Probably most of us fill every nook and cranny of our waking hours. Sometimes we might even give up sleep to fulfill commitments that we have. But so once you make a commitment, what does it take for you to have to send that email, the text, or make a call that says, I am so sorry, I don't usually do this, but. So I think back to a time when my son was in the ER and it was evening, and the next day I had this lunch meeting, and it was really important, and it had taken almost a year to get this meeting together. And here we were in the ER. What was I going to do? Well, from the ER, I was sending text messages confirming the location, actually changing the location. I was going to make it happen. Now, had my son still been in the ER, that threshold, he would have needed me. I'm quite certain I would have had to cancel. However, the fact that I got no sleep the night before that meeting was not a high enough bar. So we make decisions constantly, weighing which thing is going to win our time. And we show what we value by how we invest our minutes. So I'm asking you to consider, how are you spending your minutes, and how high is the threshold for a commitment, the words that have come out of your mouth? How high does the threshold have to be for you to let that commitment slip? I want to ask you to be intentional. Remember, fulfilling your commitments and deciding that that's how you're going to do life will make you very intentional before you make a commitment. I can tell you that I've been living my life this way for a long time now. And if someone asks me to do something, I ask a lot of clarifying questions because I want to know. I need to know exactly what are you asking me to commit my time to. And I want to make sure that I can follow through unless something extraordinary happens and I have to change. So that is the strategy for today. Fulfill your commitments. I actually recently had a client who I'm doing some pro bono work with who very last minute texted me and she said, I've had something come up. I'm not going to be able to have our coaching call. So from my perspective, I assumed the bar must be really high. She knows my time is valuable. I'm doing this work for her pro bono. I thought, oh my gosh, there must have been a car accident. Someone must be really sick. Well, when she got back with me, I found out that she was running errands. There was an unanticipated errand that happened, but I had to have a conversation with her that she had to place my time at a higher priority level, hold that commitment more securely if she was going to continue having my pro bono coaching. Now, I will say I should have had that communication with her right away, and I usually do that. I set really strict boundaries around someone who's using my time for free. They need to value it beyond the dollars that they are not spending on my time. And I only do a limited amount of pro bono work. So I did have that conversation with her that she needed to prioritize my time much higher if we were going to continue to work together, and she hasn't missed a minute since. I would love to hear an update from you as you evaluate how high you hold your commitments to yourself, to your work, to your family, to your friends. Where is the threshold? Where is the threshold that you have to hit to let one commitment overtake another in those different areas of your life? I'm curious to see if you have any aha moments from this. And I would love to hear that you're doing better saying yes and no appropriately by taking away the wiggle room that you've given yourself to just avoid keeping commitments so that you can say yes in the moment. So I hope this helps. Get out there, make your big impact. Please come find me and let's connect. Go to defeatthedrama.com, click on the podcast tab, and you can send me a voicemail or type me a message. I would love to hear from you. Until next time, make it a great day.